Greetings, my brothers and sisters. It's been a very, very long time. I duly hope and pray that you're all okay out there and you're all keeping safe. You know, we've had a pandemic for about the last year and a half, 2 years. So, you know, just keep safe, keep wearing your masks and everything. I want to thank, before I go on, the team here who've set this up for me. I say big up to, of course, Dougie in the background there, who's helped me with the lighting and so on. And you know, this is a video that I have to do. This is a piece I have to do because a lot of people have been asking me a lot of things about my background, my history. I've done some videos some years ago, but people want more, and that was about 10 years ago. So I'm going to keep it updated, and of course a lot of things happened in 10 years. So here I am today, once again coming forth with some more of my stories. I was born and raised in London, England, in the London borough of Enfield, Edmonton, which is in Enfield really, which is only a few yards from here. I was born in North Middlesex Hospital on December the 25th of 1977 to Patricia Murphy, my mother, lovely mother, beautiful mother, and my father, which is called Neville Slater. But Neville Slater, my father, sadly passed away 15 years ago. The family of mine is not a very, very big family. There's only my grandmother, my grandfather, who sadly both passed away. I've got two uncles in this country. I've got an aunt in America, and I've got some cousins in England. I'm not sure how many cousins I've got. I might have maybe about 10, 15 cousins. I've got some more cousins in Jamaica, as well as America as well. And I've got also some family in Canada. Distant relatives in Canada. I've also got some relatives I'm led to believe in Panama as well. So I've got family, but the immediate family mostly over in England and Jamaica. I've got some more aunties on my father's side in Jamaica as well. And so I was, I went to school at Northumberland Park when I was 11. That was my high school. My primary school was at Lancasterian, which is not far from here. Lancasterian, first it was a nursery school, because Lancasterian have got a nursery, and they've also got an infant school, and they've also got a secondary school. And I went to those schools when I was at primary school when I was at North Lancasterian. So went to the nursery school, the infant school, and the primary school, and then I went to the secondary school, Northumberland Park, which is only about 300 yards from here. It's not far from here at all. And I enjoyed myself there. I never got many good grades at school. It wasn't until I left from school and I went to college and I did a business course, BTEC in business in 1995. And I also went on to get a degree in business studies, 2001, thereabouts. So I was there for 3 years studying for a degree. But I went to the business down the line because I set up a food company about 10 years ago. It was small at the time because what I wanted to do Caribbean Meals and Wheels and distribute it locally to the Caribbean people in the area, because we've got a lot of Caribbean people in Tottenham and South Tottenham. And at the time I was at my granddad's house, and he was living in South Tottenham going into Stamford Hill area. And of course there's a lot of Caribbean people in Stamford Hill as well as South Tottenham and Tottenham. But it never got off the ground. I needed drivers. I never got any drivers. I also needed, of course, logistics is drivers. I also needed another person to help me in the kitchen, and that wasn't forthcoming. And unfortunately, I suffered an illness. I suffered from hypertension, so I had to kind of close the business down. And not long after that, unfortunately, my grandfather passed away, and so the business just went. But a lot of people have said to me I should kind of resurrect it down the line. I'm trying to get back into it, but it's not easy. You need to have a lot of people behind you who know what they're doing, and you've also got to have a lot of money as well behind you. Without these things, without money and the right sort of people behind you, it's tough to really do these things. But I'm trying my very best to do that and to go forward in that. So I grew up a road called Baronet Road. You can see that on the screen now. That is Baronet Road. There's two Baronet Roads. There's one Baronet Road going that way, which is off Lansdowne Road, and then there's another Barrington Road on this side coming off the other Barrington Road. So it's like an L. So this is Barrington Road here, and then there's another Barrington Road which comes off from Lansdowne Road, which is over that side. But the Barrington Road I grew up on was this Barrington Road here, not this Barrington Road, but the other Barrington Road, which runs parallel with the other Barrington Road and the gums of St Paul's Road. You can see that here on the screen now because I've, you know, it's up there. I was there from 1977 when I was born to 1982 when we left to go around to the corner, Vicarage Road, Hastings House, which you can also see on the screen. Also, before that, my mother, I was living with my mother in a place called Wentwood House in Clapton. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but hopefully you can. Wentwood Road in Clapton. That's Hackney. My mother took ill, and unfortunately she wasn't able to look after me. So what happened was my father and his mother intervened, which is my grandmother, intervened and took me away from my mother because my mother wasn't able to look after me because she was really sick. And so my grandmother and my father, as well as my grandmother's husband, they took me in and they looked after me, they raised me and sort of like adopted me, if you like. And so I grew up with my grandparents, my grandmother and their husband and my father. My father soon left the home, the family home, to marry someone, a lady called Lydia, back in the 80s. And so I grew up mostly with my grandmother and her husband. And then when my grandmother passed away in 86, then my grandfather, the man who was married to her, which is me, is my grandfather, not by blood, but he is. He looked after me until I got to 24 when I left home. My father was there, but he came and went sometimes, and he got married to another lady because he got divorced to Lydia, and then he went and married another lady from Sierra Leone. And I would go and spend weekends with my father. My father always came to see me, came to see my grandfather, came to see his mother both, you know, as well. And then he never left us. He always came out to visit us until the day when he died as well, 15 years ago, unfortunately. And my grandfather who looked after me, he died as well. He died 2 years before my father died. So I lost all of them. So I'm a lonely wolf now on my own. But it's tough because I miss them every day. Every day I think about them. It's so tough. You know, we have fond memories of, you know, the upbringing. They always ensured I went on all the school trips. So whenever there was a school trip with my school, whether it be Lancasterian or Northumberland Park, they always ensured that they found the money so I could go on these trips, so I never missed out. And I never forget that. And so I love them from the bottom of my heart. I miss them dearly. And I say, God rest all of their souls. I've got a very, very good cousin. His name is Wayne. And he lives in Edmonton, where I was born, but further up as you're going towards Enfield. Well, Enfield is the borough, but there's another park called Enfield, which is further on from Edmonton. And he lives there. And I used to go and spend the weekends with him. His mother's Shirley and his father's Junior, but his mother and father broke up. And then obviously, Shirley was there on her own with also my cousin. I've got 2 other cousins as well, which are Wayne's brother and sister, Adrian and Nisha. And so sometimes I'll go and spend the weekends up there with them. And it was beautiful to the point where I got a bit too old to spend the weekend up there. You know, when you get to sort of like 18, 19, or even 15, 16, you branch out. But he always came to visit me, my cousin Wayne. He always came to visit me, see me. We sometimes ate dinner together at my house. I'll go to his house. Even though I wasn't sleeping over anymore, and we have dinner together, we used to hang out together, and we used to go places together, cinema, and so on. And we were very close. But in the last sort of 10 years, we've not been as close because I've kind of gone my way and he's kind of gone his way. But we still keep in touch when we can. And now as I said, a lot of people, this is where a lot of people what a lot of people want to know about me, how I got into the radio. Because a lot of people know me by, my name is Chrissy B, because I got that name Chrissy B when I was a youngster, when one of my grandfather's friends came to the house, and then he would just call me Chrissy. Also, another guy across the road from us, there was a garage across the road from us, and there was a guy called Robin. I was very young at the time, I was about 10, 11, and sometimes on school holidays, I'll go and watch Robin because he was a mechanic working in a garage on the other side of the road from us. So what I would do on school holidays, when I was bored, I'd go over there to spend some time with Robin to see what he was doing. And he would call me Christo, you know, and then he just, every time I went there, he'd say, hello, Christo. And then the name kind of, and other people started to pick up on Christo. Like, this guy Robin calls me that. But another person came and said, oh, we're going to call him Chrissy. You know, so the name sort of stuck. And because my surname is Bailey, I just added a B to Chrissy. So Chrissy B, that's my moniker. That's my radio stage name. you know. So my DJ name, my radio station name, my alias is Chrissy B, and I've been known by that name for about a good. It's been a long time now, for maybe since about. I was being called Chrissy. I was being called Chrissy from about the age of sort of like 10, but I never really used Chrissy B until I was like in my 20s, my early 20s. So I've been using that name for maybe 20 years now, nearly 20 years. And so all the radio stations I've been on, I've used the alias of Chrissy B. So the name sort of caught on. So everybody sort of knows me by the name of Chrissy B now. So that's how I got the name, because my grandfather's friends playing around with the name Christo and then Chrissy, and then I added a B to it. I got onto the radio in the year of 2006. What I would do sometimes, I would text in sometimes. There was a particular radio station by the name of Sweet FM. That was my very first radio station in 2006. And I used to listen to the station quite fondly. And there was a guy on there called Masai. To cut a long story short, sometimes when he would talk about reggae, he played reggae and soul music, mostly reggae. And so sometimes I would text in, he would throw questions out there or throw dilemmas out there, and scenarios. And sometimes, because I know a lot, because I used to read books about reggae and so on. And because I come from a musical background, of course, my whole family virtually, most of my family are Jamaican, and I know about it and so on. And so sometimes when you throw questions out or throw dilemmas out and scenarios out, I'll text back the answers or text back my point of views. And this was going on for maybe about 1 year now. And so to the point where Masai, there was also another guy in there called Marky, and I'll do it to him as well. Because sometimes he would say things and I'll text things into him. There was also another guy, a Rasta man by the name of Ras Lion, and sometimes I'll text things into him as well. So it got to the point where a lot of the guys on the radio station knew about me and said, okay, we want one of this guy Chrissy, whoever he is, he keeps texting in, this listener of ours. I wonder if you want to do a show on it, because he seems to know a lot of things about reggae music and so on. So one day, what happened was Masai, one of the DJs I listened to, Masai went to Sweden, because Sweden have got an annual reggae event by the name of the Uppsala Reggae Festival. It's an annual event. It takes place, I think, on the 3rd and 4th of every August every year. And in 1 year, 2006, Masai went to Sweden for, I think it's for 3 days. And then they were looking for somebody to cover his show, and they couldn't think of anybody. So lo and behold, my number came up, and they said, "Oh, that guy Chrissy. I'm going to ask Chrissy if he wants to come in and do a show." So I did. They were actually going to get me on the station about 6 months before that. Masai wanted me on the station, but it never materialized because the management of the radio station said that they already had enough DJs on there, so they didn't require any more guys on there. But Masai went away to Sweden, so he needed somebody to cover his shows, and then that's when my name popped up. And so they asked me. It was one Sunday, I remember, one Sunday morning. I got the call from, I think that wasn't Masai, it was somebody else. But Masai told the management to give me a call because he was going to Sweden. Give that Chrissy a call and ask him to cover my show when I'm away. So I did. I still got the recording there somewhere in a cassette somewhere. I play it sometimes, but it's packed away. My very first show on the radio when I covered for Masai back in 2006, August it was a Sunday. And so I said yes. I was so happy because I didn't think they were going to think of me to come on the radio station, even though 6 months prior, Masai wanted me on there, but it never materialized. So I jumped at the opportunity. I went down to Edmonton. I had my music, my CDs, and I went down there. And then Marky, the guy I was telling you about, he was waiting outside for me to take me upstairs to the studio. We had to go up these stairs. To take me upstairs, it was on top of a building. It wasn't a tall building. It was like a normal medium-sized building, but you had to go up these stairs. And then you go through this big door, then you walk down, and the studio's just in the corner. In Edmonton, opposite there was St. Tower Brooks on the other side. You got Edmonton Green on that side, and then you got Sweet FM on the other side. You got to walk down the road, and you got to walk up to these stairs, and you go up. But anyway, I did. I went there, and he was next to me. He was kind of coached me because I never done radio before. I played music before as a DJ, but I never actually been on a radio before. So Marky was there telling me how to play the music, what not to say, what to say. And they knew I had a lot of knowledge about the music, but the technical aspects of the radio, I needed honing on that part. And so Marky was there, instructing me and coaching me, telling me what to say, what not to say, and how to change the CDs and so on. And he said, no gaps. So if there's a gap, play a jingle. And so on, or try and say something, try and think of something to say so that there's no gaps, because they don't like when there's gaps when you're trying to change over a song and then there's all you're hearing is like fresh air. You're not hearing anything. So these are the things I learned from being on the radio, that you're going to be meticulous, you're going to be fast, you've got to be very sharp, and you've got to know what you're doing. And so I did that, and I did only one show for Sweet FM. I went back about a week later, and then I went there, and then somebody was there. One of the other DJs was there, and I asked for the management, but he said the management wasn't there at the time. And so I got a call, I think it's from Marky, saying that, Chrissy, you know what, unfortunately, that's it, because the station was gone bust. The station went under. So this was maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 months after I did my show. And then Marky came to me and said, Chrissy, don't worry about it, because the station is going under, because the station is folding. But there's another station coming soon by the name of Climax Radio. Actually, Climax was already established, but we're going to all move to Climax. So all the Sweet FM guys more or less moved to Climax Radio, and I was one of them. And that's my first proper station, Climax Radio. They're based in Leighton, on Leabridge Road. You're going to go through some buildings, and it's away from the main road, but you're gonna, it's a bit of a walk. But I did like it. It was very quiet down that area. There's an ice rink on the other side, very, very quiet. But I like that area, and I've always liked Leighton and it's Clapton and so on. One of my favorite areas. Beautiful, very, very quiet. And so, yeah, no problem. And then there you go. And then so I did that, and I was there for 6 months on Climax. And I did a lot of shows on there. Marky was on there. Massa was on there. As I said, all the guys from Sweet FM went on to more or less went on the Climax Bar. Maybe there's about 20 DJs on Sweet FM, and out of the 20 DJs, maybe only 18 went. Only 2 were left behind. Only 2 never went on there. A guy by the name of I think 1 or 2 other guys. I can't remember his name, but one of the guys who played soul, he went to another station. And then so most of the guys on Sweet FM went to Climax. Climax was only on Climax for a while, and then Climax folded after maybe a couple of years after that. So around 2008, going into 2009, and Climax folded. And then so a lot of the other DJs, they either went and did their own thing, set up their own station, or went to other stations, or just went redundant and never bothered with radio again. And so, and there was, and I freelanced, went to various other stations after that. I went to a station called SLR. In my opinion, SLR is the best station I've been on, because I was able to do all the shows I wanted to do. And there's a guy by the name of Brother Douglas Williams. We call him Brother Dougie. I used to go on these shows because he heard about me. Then he met me somewhere one day, and I started telling him stuff about reggae music, about the history of it. And he said, Chrissy, you've got to come to my show. And I did. That was 2007. That was the same year I was on Climax. In actual fact, he came into one of my shows on Climax. And he brought the great Stephen Sarley with him, Professor Sarley's son, and they were talking about health and medicines and all of that. And he came into one of my other shows. We did a show for Black History back in 2007, and he came on there with legends like Errol Lyons and Uncle Sid, and I did some interviews with them on my show. It was really good. Before I left, and then I was on Doggie's show a lot, and then to the point where he got to the stage where more or less Dougie asked me to ask the management of SLR to come on and do a show, and then I was on SLR on and off for nearly 10 years after that. I went to other stations, like I did one show for Supreme back in 2016. I did some shows. I left SLR for a bit, and I felt ill in 2012, but I went back on there again, and I was on and off, but I was mostly predominantly on SLR, and that's where most of the people who know me now, that's where my fame began, and that's where I'm mostly famous for being on SLR, for being. There's people call me the man with the history, the man with the knowledge, the historical man, the man who comes with a difference. Some people call me the best man on the radio because I've got a jingle by the name of Chrissy B, the best man on the radio, by a artist from Holland by the name of Congo Bongo. He's a reggae artist. He's a very good friend of mine. He was also a very good friend of Brother Douglas, the other Brother Douglas, who set me up here with this video here. And he done me a jingle, and then Douglas actually edited the video, the jingle, with my name on it, so it comes through as Chrissy be the greatest man or the best man on the radio. So because of that jingle, everybody who's heard my shows coins me or dubs me the greatest man on the radio. Even the management of SLR called me because of the jingle, calls me the Chrissy be the greatest man on the radio. So I'm honoured, but I'm not so big-headed just to say I'm the greatest man on the radio, but I do know that I offer something that not many people are able to offer because of the knowledge I have, because of the knowledge I'm able to actually obtain. And I've read a lot, I've studied a lot, I've spoken to many of the artists, So because of that, my knowledge is quite wide and quite diverse. It's not just reggae either. It's other genres like soul music, disco music, jazz. I've done shows on jazz. I've done some documentaries on this about jazz, about rhythm and blues, rock and roll, and many other genres of especially music from black origin. I've done high life. I've done Afro beats, original Afro beats from the 60s and the 70s with people like featuring people like Fela Kuti and the great drummer, the late great Tony Allen, and guys like that, and legends such as Vols, Manu Dibango, the first man to actually have the first disco record with Soul Makosa in 1972. And of course, Michael Jackson used a sample of some of that song for Wanna Be Starting Something in 1982 for the greatest album. They said the biggest selling album of all time, Thriller. So I went on and I did all these things and I wrote things down for them. And a lot of people held me in high regard. So I'm very, very thankful for that. So that's how I got into the radio, and I'm still on the radio now. Even though I've not done any shows, before COVID, I was on the radio. During COVID and now, COVID is still going on. I've not done any shows for nearly 2 years. But I hope to go back on the radio. And when I do go back on the radio, I'll definitely come onto social media and let everybody know I'm back on the radio again. But for the time being, I'm sort of chilling out and resting and sort of like seeing what's going on but when I'm ready to come back onto the radio, I mean, you all know about it. Not a problem at all. I mean, a lot of people ask about my family, my friends, my parents. My mother, his name is Patricia Murphy. My father, his name Neville Slater. They're both born in Jamaica. My father came to England in 1961. He was only 19 when he came to England. I think my mother came in 1970 when she was 11 when she came to England. As you can see and tell, my mother is a lot younger than my father. There's about 18 years difference between the two of them. My grandfather came to England, the one who raised me, in 1962. My grandmother came to England at the same time as my father, which is her son, in 1961. My other grandfather, my mother's side, he came to England in 1962. So my two grandfathers, my real one and the one who sort of adopted me, they both came the same year of 1962. My two uncles came in the early 70s. I believe one uncle came in 1970 and the other one came in 1973. And of course I was born over here. My other cousins were born over here as well. And of course I've got cousins based in Jamaica, and I've got cousins based in America as well. And I've also got an aunt in America, but she was born in Jamaica, but she went to America, I think in the early 80s. And she's a nurse out there, and she's got a couple of homes out there, I think in Florida. And I really, really aim one day to go and see her, but I've not been able to see her yet. But hopefully one day soon, I'll get the chance to go and see her and see, because she's always telling me, Chrissy, you've got to come and see me, and it's never happened yet. And so the day will come, hopefully, when I do get to definitely go and see her. Yeah, and so achievements now. I mean, I obtained a degree from Middlesex University in 2001. I was studying there for 3 years, and I got a degree in business. And I also got other certificates. Like I've got a diploma in graphic designing. We were doing some graphic design with one of my other uncles in Bethnal Green in East London back in 2002. And I got a certificate for graphic designing there. And I've also got certificates for my hygiene certificates working in the kitchen, and certificates for catering, because I've done a course about 5 years ago at the College of North East London. Back in 2016, and so I got a series of certificates for that course I did. For the course I did, which was hygiene, customer service, and some other courses which was added onto it. There's about 4 courses all in one, and I know it includes hygiene and also customer service and some others. And so I'm able to work in the kitchen. I'm qualified to work in the kitchen and so on, and handle food because I got the certificates for that. So I'm very grateful, because that's what I want to go into next. As I said, I was running my own food company some years ago, but that was before I got my food hygiene certificate. But I was working from my granddad's house, which I was staying at the time. And then I was staying there at the time, and so I was working in the kitchen there, preparing Caribbean foods for local people. They wanted to expand it to go more around London. And so I needed drivers, and I didn't have any drivers at that time. I needed also another person to work in the kitchen with me, and I couldn't get that. And of course, I fell ill. And then we had to sort of like stop working. And not long after that, within a matter of months, my grandfather passed away. So that dream had gone. But as I said, people have urged me to come back and do it again. And I hope one day I do get back to the stage where I'm running my own business again. I've had great friends. I mean, I'm very privileged to have had great friends. I've had some very good friends when I was growing up in Vicarage Road, especially because when I was at Barnet Road, I was very young, and so I remember our neighbour by the name of Mr. and Mrs. Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton was a police officer. They were white people, but they used to take me to school. They were very nice to me, but they had a son who didn't like me, maybe because I was black. That he used to pick on me and bully me. They had a daughter by the name of Shelley. We used to go to the same school, Lancasterian, and she liked me. But one of the brothers didn't like me. The other brother was all right, but one of the other brothers didn't like me because a bit racist perhaps. But the mother and father liked me as well when they used to take me to school and so on. And to the point where I moved to Vicarage Road around the corner, and I got a bit older, and so I was going to school by myself. But occasionally my grandfather got his friends because I was still maybe 8 or 9, 7. So I always wanted somebody to walk me to school because he's still a bit young at that age. So I would sometimes be walked to school by a friend of the family or sometimes a friend. Like I said, I've had friends when I went to Vicarage Road. Their mums used to take me to school. Their dads used to take me to school, walk me to school, take me in the car, etc. And to the point where I got to maybe, when I got to sort of like 10, when I got to 10, and that's when I started going to school by myself, solely by myself. Occasionally, my grandfather, because he drove, sometimes he would take me to school on his way to work, or he would pick me up after school. If he finished work early, they would wait outside the schoolyard for the school gate for me, and I would see the card, and he would come in and get me, and then take me home. So I was well looked after. I can't say I wasn't brought up well. I was brought up thoroughly well. I was well looked after. I never really lacked anything. You know, I was well fed. I went on all the school trips. If I wanted clothing, I got it. If I wanted gadgets, if I wanted toys, I got it. I don't think there's anything I ever wanted and I never got it. If it was from my granddad, my father, or my grandmother, or friends of the family who were very close with us, I got it. My mother couldn't do because my mother was too sick. But even my mother got a little bit better later when I got into my 20s. My mother came to visit me, and then my mother sometimes would bring things for me, like shoes and shirts and so on. You know, so I was always well looked after. So I've got to give, you know, the Almighty Father of creation, the Almighty God around in the universe, a lot of thanks for the things I had, because I didn't really lack for anything, you know. And so we're gonna come to the end soon, and then somebody asked me about my football, because somebody heard that I used to play football, and it's so true, because I used to play football at New River, which is about, from here, if you were to drive from here to New River, it's about maybe 10-minute drive from here. It's not far. But I used to take the W3 bus, which goes along Northumberland Park. I used to play every single Saturday mornings. And we used to go to New River, train, and we used to play in the evenings. You know, sometimes we would train in the weekdays. But because at that time I think at that time a lot of us were working. So the manager preferred us to train in the morning of the game. So we'd train in the morning, have a rest, and then come back for the game later on in the evening. Or sometimes if we were playing away from New River, there was a guy on the team, seem to remember, he was a very, very tall guy. He was greying, and I can't remember his name, but this is like 20 odd years ago. And he was driving, so what he used to do, he used to pick us up we used to meet up at New River. They would come and pick some of us up and take us to the game which we were playing away out of the borough of Haringey. So sometimes the driver will be up to maybe half an hour to an hour drive. Then other people would have to make their way to the game themselves, or somebody else will pick them up. I seem to remember that. And those were great days. Those were very, very good days. And then I was there for I played for the team by the name of Wood Green Old Boys. I seem to remember the kit was like Barcelona's kit. You know, Barcelona have got like claret, like purple and claret and purple. Yeah, like purple. Yeah, claret and is it claret? Claret, purple and red. Yeah, purple and red, like stripes. Yeah, or halves. Yeah, stripes going down Barcelona's kit. And our kit was very reminiscent of Barcelona's kit. But the only thing was that we didn't have a sponsor. It was plain. You know, Barcelona, of course, Barcelona are professionals, so they got sponsors and they got logos and everything. We're like a semi-professional team, so we weren't sponsored by anyone, you know. But I seem to remember very, very clearly and very vividly that our kit was very, very similar, the same colours as Barcelona. I used to like the kit, but it was hard because you had to do a lot of running. And a lot of the guys on the team, they smoked, they drunk, they were big, you know, they were big. There were some of the guys on the team who were very, very fit, and there were other guys that were really, really, you could tell there were some of the league players, you know, and so it was tough. I was there for maybe 2 months. I think I might have played, I think I played about maybe a half a dozen games with Wood Green Old Boys. I did a lot of training. And then to the point where I got fed up and I never bothered anymore. And I started playing more football with the local kids around the parks and so on. And even to this day, I have not played a game for a long time, but even to this day, I really miss playing football. I really do. And hopefully next summer, when COVID is kind of eased a bit more, I'll go to some of the local parks in the area and see if I could join a game of football, join in. And there you have it. It's been a very, very good time. I said something on Facebook once, and somebody asked me what countries have I been to, and I've been to a few countries. Obviously, I've been to Jamaica. I went to Jamaica back in '87. And it was very, very nice. I went in '94 as well. I don't remember '94, but '87 I remember a lot. For some reason, '94 kind of eludes me. But I went '94. I was supposed to go again in '97 with the lady who got married to my grandfather after my grandmother passed away, but it never materialized. And I hope to go next year. I've been to Egypt, and I've been to France. I've been to Wales. I've been to America a few times. I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Brazil, and I want to go to Ghana and Ethiopia. Those are just a few of the countries. I also want to go to the Far East. So maybe a country like Japan or somewhere like that. I really want to go to the Far East. But at the time, because of COVID and the situation that we find ourselves in, it's very, very difficult to sort of like do what we want to do. So I'm going to give it maybe a year or 2 years, and then I'm going to do some traveling. I have to, because traveling is really, really good. It sharpens your brain, it opens up your mind, and it shows you how other people are living and how other people live. So there's definitely something I want to do in the future, and there you have it. What I'm going to do, the future for me, I say the future for me, I want to own my own business, start a family with the right person, and then just move forward. And I'm hoping that I find the right person. I think she's very, very close. I think I might have found her, but we prayed to God that she's there. But yes, the time is coming when, I want to start a family, set up a home, and then do some traveling and run a business and set up some of my family when they're coming up. That my family has something. My family's well looked after. My offspring, my children are well looked after. At the moment, what am I doing now? I'm writing a book on reggae. And I'm doing some other bits and pieces. I want to learn to drive because, believe it or not, I was taking my driving lessons many years ago, and I was driving for a bit, but I didn't pass my test. But I want to go back and do some more lessons, and this time pass my test and really get on to those roads. And that's the biggest thing right now. What I want to do right now. So learn to drive again, and then after that, I've got things I want to do. Travel. So learning to drive, travel, set up a business, start a family, and of course set up a home. And maybe not in that order, but those are the things I want to do. And then there's other things I want to do, but I've got to sit down and give them some more of a rethink, But I want to say thank you so much for all of you out there. Thank you for your support on all the social media platforms. Don't forget you can catch me on Instagram, Chrissy Imhotep 444. I'll put the link in the description as well. You can also catch me. I don't really use Twitter very often, so I'm not going to really plug Twitter. I'm on there as Chrissy B, which is ChrissieBi. But I don't really use Twitter that much. I find Twitter to be very, very boring. But Instagram, as I mentioned to you before, Chrissy B Imhotep 444. As I said, I'll put all the link in the description for you to follow. And then, of course, I'm on Facebook as Chrissy B Bailey. I'll put the link in the description also. And I'm here on YouTube, which, of course, Chrissy B Imhotep. I'm also on WhatsApp. I'm going to put the number down there in the link in the description so you can follow me also on WhatsApp as well. You can WhatsApp me your messages, your questions, or anything which is of concern to you, and I'll try my very best to answer those questions. So I want to say thank you so much. Again, I say thank you to Douglas, Brother Dougie, and the team here who do a fantastic job here for setting this thing up for me to do, because I've not done any videos for 7 months. I've not been well, but I'm going to do a video about that down the line to explain what has happened to me over the last 7 or 8 months, and then for you to get the full picture of what's happened to me. So I want to say thank you so much all. Look after yourselves and each other, and I say one love. Can I turn this off now? Peace and love all. Thank you so much.